who was renting that post office box? Lee Harvey Oswald. So what we have here, kiddos, is we finally have a connection between the rifle and Oswald. He ordered the rifle under the name A. Heidel. The post office box in which the rifle was delivered to was rented by Lee Harvey Oswald. And just so you know, for statistical purposes, it was ordered on March 12th of 1963, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November. A little more than 8 months before the assassination. And it was ordered from Klein's Sporting Goods. Because if you look at this ad, at the bottom right-hand corner, you'll see that Klein's Sporting Goods was the one selling those particular weapons. He paid $19.95 for the rifle, including the scope, and he used that alias of A. Heidel. Was shipped on March 20th, ordered on March 12th, shipped on March 20th. And it was sent to Oswald's post office box, COD, which you could do in those days. Anybody know what that means? COD? What? Collect upon delivery. So you could order things, I remember my dad doing this, you could order things, and then when it was delivered, you paid the money and they gave you the goods. If you didn't pay the money, then you didn't get the goods and they sent it back. So he ordered that COD, so obviously he picked that up at the post office and paid for it. Now, they even found this evidence later. This is, you have a copy of this, I think. This is the order form that was filled by Klein's Sporting Goods showing that they had sent the rifle. He paid $19.95. Looks like he paid like $1.50 tax on the thing. So it was a $21.45 purchase. It's got a description of the rifle and it's sent to A. Heidel. Can you imagine that today with the gun laws we have and the more the people are pushing that you could order a gun in the mail and not even put the right name? All they cared about was what? The money. Incredible. Well, this is kind of an interesting story because then at 10:30 a.m., Lee Harvey Oswald's taken back to Fritz's office for more interrogation. Now, Captain Fritz now has the rifle used in the assassination of President Kennedy tied to the man that he has in custody. So he opens the conversation with Oswald. What do you think, man? You'd be just really pounding at him now, wouldn't you? But Fritz wasn't like that. First thing he asked him, how'd you sleep last night? First thing Fritz asked him, you know what Oswald said? A little smirk on his face. Never slept better. This is the guy that is accused of shooting the president. Well, Captain Fritz then asked Oswald about the package he brought to work the day of the assassination. And he said, well, that was my lunch. And Captain Fritz then asked him if he ordered a rifle under the name of A. Heidel. And he said, no. Oswald was then confronted about the fact that the identification card that was found in his wallet bore the name A.J. Heidel, or Alec James Heidel. And he simply said, I don't know anything about that. Okay, so he's getting closer. Now, here's the biggie. Incriminating photos appear. Okay? Back at the Payne residence, Marina is sad. And she's looking through old photos and kind of reminisces of her marriages with Oswald and how it's gone down the toilet. And she finally sees some pictures that she took herself. And they were pictures of Oswald. He posed for 2 different pictures, and it was taken in the backyard of their apartment before they separated. They lived on Neely Street before they separated. Okay? And she took this picture. And in the photo, Oswald's holding the rifle used in the assassination and copies of a journalistic paper called The Worker and the Militant. And he also has the revolver that he used in the Tippit killing strapped to his belt. You have that picture. It's also back over there. And this happens to be another picture up here in which when Blake Kroger and I went to that backyard photo, it just happened to be a piece of that stairway that was not hooked very well. So we decided we'd bring that home. And we cut it in half. And Blake has the very same piece of stairway that I do. I wouldn't recommend it. But anyway, that's the story. Now, we'll continue the story. Marina sees these photos that she took and she goes, oh my God, this is going to hurt my husband here. So she takes them and folds them up and sticks them in the bottom of her shoe because she doesn't want anybody to see them. And then she's thinking to myself, I got to have a talk with my husband, because what is she realizing for sure? That he is probably the guy that does this, but she doesn't want to believe it. So at 1:10 p.m. on the 23rd, she goes to the city jail to visit her husband, and she takes her mother-in-law, Marguerite, with her. Who else does she have to do anything? I mean, Marguerite's crazy, but that's who she has, right? Well, Oswald gets brought out to talk with his wife, and he sees his mother, and he gets very upset because he doesn't like his mother. Never did. Marina calms him down because she wants to have a conversation about these photos that she took. Lee hints that they cannot talk in jail because he's sure the room is bugged, and most of the conversations about Lee assuring Marina that all will be fine. He's got people that are going to help him on the outside. And what Marina's trying to do is get a sense that her husband's not involved in this shooting. That's what she's trying to figure out. But I'm telling you, after she listens to him talk for that short period of time, she is convinced. She has no reassurances. She realizes that the guy she just talked to in jail wasn't the guy she was married to. She said he would have been protesting, banging on the table, yelling injustices. She said this guy wasn't even the same person. You ever hear somebody teasing say, "Who are you?" Because you do something they're just not used to you doing? That was her. She had a "who are you" feeling when she left. So she left with the feeling, without question, that her husband was involved in this. But she's trying to protect him by doing what? Keeping the photos. Unfortunately for Marina, she's unaware that the police have found a photograph that she took during the search of the home the day before. And they haven't given it to Fritz yet. Okay? So, anyway, we'll move on. Oswald's fourth lineup. He's taken to his fourth lineup, and you remember William Scoggins, the guy that jumped in, or Ted Calloway jumped in with him in his cab, and they picked up Tippett's gun and they drove all over. Well, Scoggins is the guy that they're bringing in, and I'm not really sure why they're bringing him in, because they already are pretty sure on the Tippett thing, other than the fact they're trying to put the pieces together in the route and all that. Well, anyway, Oswald really complains in this fourth lineup that, you know, hey, you've made me stand out like a sore thumb. Everybody else is wearing things differently. He really, really protested much more than he did at the other lineups. Well, Scoggins can kind of see that he's kind of protesting. He really can't hear him, but, you know, he's in the lineup. And he takes one look at Oswald in the lineup and he says, quote, "He can bitch and moan all he wants, but that's the man I saw." So then now they have another person, another lineup that ties him to the Tippett murder. Well, Police Chief Jesse Curry, we haven't talked about him in a while, but he's responsible for Oswald because he's the chief of police there in the police station in downtown Dallas, right? Well, he's getting nervous about Oswald's safety because I'm telling you, the tensions are high, okay? So he wants to move him from the city jail to the county jail because he believes he'll be safer there, and that wasn't unusual. Once you filed charges against somebody and interrogated them for a period of time, they were going to go stand trial, so you didn't keep him at the city jail, you transferred him to the county jail. That's what you did. Well, it's kind of interesting because the city jail where Oswald's been interrogated is in downtown Dallas, while the county jail, ironically, is located just 1/2 block from the Texas School Book Depository, and it was in front of that building that Nellie Conley turned to the president at 1229 and said, "Mr. President, you can't say that Dallas doesn't love you." So they're going to transfer him. Now, Curry talks with Fritz, and he says, "Hey, let's transfer this guy at 4 o'clock today. I'm ready to go. Let's transfer him." Well, why doesn't Fritz want to transfer him? Anybody want to throw that out? In fact, you're not looking at your notes. Why doesn't he want to transfer him at that point?
He's not safe.
No, he didn't think that. What? No.
Did he want to convict
What?
himself?
Morgan? He wants this confession out of him. Bad. He's reluctant to move Oswald on Saturday because he wants more time to try to get a confession on him. So Chief Curry and Fritz talk, and they mutually agree to move Oswald at remember this, at approximately 10 a.m. the next day on Sunday, November 24th. That's the new time, and they're going to move him. But they don't want to give an exact time. Why? If for his safety, you don't want the media, again being a problem for you. You don't want a problem here at all. So they say about 10. We'll see later when he's moved. Well, meanwhile, at 4:30 p.m., they allow Oswald to make a phone call to secure an attorney. It's kind of weird, but they never gave him the opportunity to secure an attorney prior to this. So it's 4:30 on the 23rd. He gets on the phone, and he tries to call the office of this high-powered lawyer in New York by the name of John Apt. John Apt is who he tries to call. He wants him to represent him. Well, unfortunately for Oswald, he just happens to be on vacation, so he can't secure him at that moment to be his lawyer. So who does he call and ask if they would take the time, because he's going to get this one phone call, but being it didn't work, he's not going to get, he's not going to let him use the phone 30 times. So he's going to call somebody to see if they wouldn't call Apt to see if he wouldn't represent him. And he gives this person a telephone number and says, would you please call this guy and tell him I'd like him to represent me? Who do you call and ask to do that? You'd think Marina, right? Brother? Who would you think he probably wouldn't call? Because he's already upset her life beyond belief. No, his wife, yeah, but no. Who's kind of an innocent bystander to this whole thing? Who have they been to her house? Ruth Payne. He calls Ruth Payne, of all people, and asks her if she would take the time to call this lawyer, and gave her the number. Now, if you know Ruth Payne, which you don't, I know her well, the kindest woman in the world. She agrees to do it, but she's thinking, man, how can this guy ask me to do this? He's totally not only disrupted his own life and his family's life, he's disrupted my life. I'm the innocent bystander here. I'm probably the last person that he should ask for such a favor. But she agrees and makes the decision she will try to get a hold of John Apt and get him a lawyer. Well, Fritz is going to make one more effort to get the confession he desperately wants. And what's he going to show Oswald? Those photos. Absolutely. That's his trump card. It's his last chance. So they bring Oswald back into his interrogation room, and Fritz uses his final piece of evidence. He shows the photos taken with him holding the rifle used in the president's assassination with the gun that he shot Tippit with on his side. He shows him the photo, right? And Oswald immediately says that the photo is a fake and that's not my face on the photo. And then he stumbles a little bit and he says, well, that's my face, but that's not me. And he claims that his face was superimposed. I mean, he's way ahead of his time here, guys. You know, we have, what do we call that now? There's no Photoshop in '63, but he says that his face was superimposed on another body. He had never seen the photo before in his life. Are you nuts? I mean, seriously, his wife took the damn thing, right? Anyway, where is Fritz at this point? I'm done. You know, this guy is in total denial. This guy has all the evidence in the world against him. So they take him back to jail and prepare him to transfer him the next morning. Now I'm going to end with this. If you're Fritz, though, and you've been interrogating this guy for hours, and this guy shows no sense of guilt, no sense of remorse, no sense of emotion, what might be your thinking? Other than he's crazy. I mean, seriously, you're putting all this through your mind. What might be in the back of your mind? No? Maybe not so much. You're getting close. And I'm not against this stuff, philosophy. It's semi-conspiracy, but what? Somebody's trained this guy. He must have spent some time training in interrogation, because this guy is not normal. And the point I'll make, and we'll leave with this, is I'm not sure what Fritz didn't think that somebody was handling him. What I mean by that, they had taken him through interrogation training. And maybe he did do this. There's no question, I think he did. So when I think about this, I say to you this. I'm 99.9% sure Lee Harvey Oswald shot John F. Kennedy. I don't know why. I don't know was he trained by the CIA? Was he trained? I don't think there's any question he did it. But nobody knows why, and nobody ever will know why. And that was Fritz's point. This guy has been unbelievably not normal. during this interrogation. Either this guy has absolutely no reality of truth, or he's been handled. He's been trained in interrogation. That was his thought when he finally made the decision, I got no more, I'm going to put him back in jail, and we're going to transfer him sometime tomorrow morning. I'll give you a little hint for tomorrow. You people that are going to be gone will need to pay attention. I'll record it. I'll tell you a little hint. He's going to give her one more shot early in the morning of the 24th. And who's he going to bring in to help him? Who could put some pressure on Oswald because he did something illegal as far as this goes? What do you do illegal? He ordered something under a false name. So what type of person would come and talk to you about that? Your local postmaster general. Okay, you're going to come up and say, hey buddy, what's the story on this? We'll talk about it tomorrow. What's the story on this? So you put a fake name. You know that's a felony to do that. Order something a fake name. They're going to try to crack off Oswald one more time. Unfortunately, a prelude, it's not going to happen. But it's a pretty good story. Then they're going to transfer him, and then Jack Ruby's going to shoot him. Okay, so that's where we're at for tomorrow. So if you're not here tomorrow, make sure that you are getting on the site and getting the notes, because you're going to need to have them.
I don't know.
No, I was.